Hey everyone. Welcome again to another week of draft previews. And this time we got a guy who's finished two straight fifth place finishes, and Joshua Life's a Mitch. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I mean Joshua was a good owner. And when we get into looking at it, his roster and everything like that, I actually did the reseeding for the playoffs last year. He scored the second most points in the quarterfinals. He scored the most points in the semifinals, but he would have still lost to you in the championship game. So I mean, as much as we say, like, yeah, his team was pretty good, and he scored the most points last year, I believe, but he still would have lost the championship game, even with reseeding everybody.
Yeah, no, it just shows that people give me a hard time, but it was a true championship. But I feel good about it. But Joshua, you're right. Great team.
For sure. Yeah, looking at his history, he's 34-32, which I was actually surprised. I thought he'd be a little higher. Last couple of years, fifth place finishes. It just shows, the LOC is not it's not a joke. I mean, any season anybody can be pretty good. And he's 1-3 playoff. I mean, he has that one playoff win. I mean, it's not that good. I mean, 1-3. Yeah, he does have those three playoff appearances. There's two trophies, the one divisional title, but he's 0.515. That's 11th all time and for win percentage.
Yeah, you're right. Most of those losses in his career came when he was Sasha Likes My Heineken, and he finished 19th one year.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. The playoffs, he's been a disaster. He can't perform. He's been pure regular season, and I'm sure he wants to change the narrative there.
Oh, 100%. Like you said, last place he was fifth place, but his best finish was actually 2016, where he finished fourth. So he hasn't even made it to the championship game. So yeah, that's something he needs to work on there.
Yeah, fourth place when he was the infamous Cry Phoenix. So he's had a few names, but yeah, I mean, still you just want to get to the dance, and at least he's been there three times.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, looking at his schedule, I mean, he plays Templars. He's 3-0 against Templars, 2-0 against Age Crew and Canadian guy. But then the rest of it's kind of a mixed bag. I mean, he's 1-0-1 against the Architect. He's 2-3 against Deuce Bombers. He's 2-3 against me. I mean, that's your division right there. He's 3-3 against you, 1-1 against the six. I mean, he's actually not blowing anybody away besides those three guys who are probably the bottom 10 of usually in the LOC.
Yeah, you're right. But it's not like anyone's blowing him away either, right? It's pretty much 500 against everyone. And it just shows that, hey, listen, he's a tough out. And you could see that. I had a rivalry with him while he was transformed Canadian for a couple of years there in my division. And you could see I went 3-3 against him. I had a tough time against him. I got respect. And I think he's going to be a team to watch out for, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's beating the teams that I think he should be. And then he's, fighting hard against the teams that are going to put up a struggle. Looking at his keepers, he has David Montgomery, Swift, Allen Robinson, Cooper Cup, Kelsey and Martinez there, which aren't bad keepers. I mean, Montgomery, I'm hit or miss on. Depends on what they use with Cohen. Yeah, I like Swift. He has two good wide receivers there. Obviously, Kelsey, you can't go wrong with Kelsey. And Blake Martinez is not a bad keeper as well.
Yeah, the keepers are solid. And I think this is where, when we look at the playoff teams that we featured so far, they all had bad draft pick situations. Deuce Bombers as well as always shitty. But you can see here with Life's a Mitch, he's got 10-10 here, even after finishing fifth place. So that's a consistent roster. And for me, I think because of that, he could be a team to watch still this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty good at drafting, so I wouldn't be surprised he comes out with a decent roster, coming here. He doesn't have a second rounder, but I mean, most of the people who made the playoffs, I'm pretty sure, don't have a second rounder as well. He doesn't have a 13th, but he does have 215. So another 10 picks in the mid rounds, and obviously 10 more picks in the back 10. So I mean, he's looking pretty good there.
I think he is too. And I think, again, consistency. I think he could be a playoff team yet again this year. So far out of all the playoff teams we featured, he's in the best scenario. We'll see if that'll continue with four teams left.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, he's that unsung, back end commissioner who helped us, get Discord up and running, everything like that. So, we got to give him the praise there for helping, getting to the LOC to where it needs to be. So I agree. I mean, he's a great owner and everything like that. Definitely makes the LOC better.
Definitely respect there for sure.
100%, 100% there. Switching over to Bill's Mafia, another guy who, he did pretty, I mean, he finished first overall, I believe, in the in Dynasty last year. He's in the Ming division. Just waiting for everything else to load here. He went from worst to first last year. From first, I think he was 3-10 or 3-9, or 4-9, 2 years ago, to being 10-3 last year. So definitely made that turnaround. But then when the playoffs came, he kind of choked.
Yeah, he choked big time again, one and done, and it'll be interesting to see if he can fix that this year. But definitely, he came back with a vengeance last year, and I think people in the Ming should fear him, especially when we see these keepers here. He's got Josh Allen. Clearly, the Bills are his favorite team. He's got his hero there at quarterback, and the running backs are strong. A lot of depth there. I mean, rolling the dice a bit with Edmonds and Harris, but at wide receiver, I see McLaurin, I see Godwin, I see solid tight ends. The roster looks tight to me, and I think Bills Mafias could be a competitive team again this year in Dynasty.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, I honestly think his biggest help was Josh Allen taking off last year, 100% there. I know when we get to your preview, we'll talk more about Josh Allen. But honestly, I'm not as strong on his running backs as you are. I mean, to me, his top three are probably Singletary, Edmonds, and Mostert. And I'm not a big fan of them. I mean, they're decent. They're definitely serviceable running backs. But when we get to his picks, I think he's going to struggle, with that running back core. But as you said, his wide receivers are solid. I mean, McLaren, Boyd, Goddard, Samuel. I mean, come on. I mean, Kirk is his fifth best wide receiver. I mean, that's excellent there. And I just said everybody else's tight ends are great. His defense, IDPs are pretty good as well. So I just think the running back room just needs a little upgrade there. But I still see him with this roster making the dance.
Totally, I 100% agree. But like you brought up, the pick situation and that running back depth, you bring up an excellent point, and there's no doubt about it. Without having the first 2 round picks, you got to wonder at pick 44. I mean, are you going to get a running back there? And if you do, you're rolling the dice on one for sure.
For sure, 100%. Yeah, he doesn't have a first. He doesn't have a second. He does have those 2/3 and 2/5, and he has a pick in every other round. But I mean, for the most part, I mean, he might be able to survive with those picks. He might not. He might be looking some IDPs there. I don't think there's going to be even anybody remotely on the board that's worth messaging at round 3. But I mean, there's going to be definitely good IDPs there.
Yeah, you know what? After watching and looking at his preview here, and again, the only weakness, and you bring up running back, I think he's still pretty good there. DB looked like the clear weakness to me. And to me, my brother's been talking all year about how he looks really strong, and because we talk back and forth. But I honestly think Bills Mafia has a chance to defend that Ming division title here. There's still one more team we got to feature in Curly Lamborghini, but yeah, I mean, I think he looks good enough to take the division again.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a battle over there for sure, 100%.
All right, everyone, we're going to do a preview Wednesday because of obviously Canada Day coming up, as well as July 4th in the US. So we're looking at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. We're going to be featuring Eric and Swahino out of the international division in the LOC. And in the Dynasty, we're going to be featuring a longtime owner, Chris and Vlad Jr. crew.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for those 2 previews next week. We'll have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you on a very short week. I'll talk to you on Wednesday.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.